Have you ever wondered why some people can manipulate others so easily, while most of us struggle to even say no? This is not luck. It's called dark psychology, a set of hidden techniques designed to control, influence, and sometimes even destroy another person's mind. In this video, we're going to uncover secrets of dark psychology that most people never learn about. Watch carefully, because once you know them, you'll never look at human behavior the same way again. Dark psychology begins with one core principle: the human brain is predictable. Most of us like to think we are independent thinkers, but in reality, our actions, choices, and even emotions can be manipulated by someone who understands how the mind works. That's why con artists, narcissists, and manipulators are able to control people without them even realizing it. One of the most powerful weapons in dark psychology is gaslighting. This is when someone deliberately makes you doubt your own memory, perception, or sanity. For example, they might say, "I never said that," when you know they did, or "You're overreacting," when you are not. Over time, you begin to question yourself instead of them. The manipulator gains control, and you lose confidence in your own mind. Another dark technique is the foot in the door effect. It works like this: someone asks you for a small favor first, something so minor you don't even hesitate to agree. Then, once you say yes, they increase the request step by step until you're doing something you never would have agreed to in the beginning. It feels harmless, but in reality, your mind has been hijacked through gradual compliance. Then comes love bombing. This is often used by narcissists. At the start, they shower you with attention, affection, and compliments. They make you feel like you're the most important person in the world. But the truth is, it's a trap. Once you're emotionally attached, they pull back the affection, leaving you desperate to win it back. This gives them total control over your emotions. Dark psychology also uses silence as a weapon. People think manipulation is always about words, but sometimes it's about what's not said. A manipulator may ignore you, give you the silent treatment, or withhold approval. This creates anxiety in your mind, and you begin to chase their validation, not realizing you've already been captured psychologically. One of the most frightening secrets of dark psychology is mirror manipulation. Skilled manipulators will copy your gestures, your tone, and even your values. Why? Because similarity builds trust. When someone seems just like us, we automatically let our guard down. But the truth is, it's only an illusion. They're mirroring you to gain access to your trust and, ultimately, your decisions. And finally, there's fear-based control. Human beings are hardwired to avoid loss and danger. That's why leaders, marketers, and even toxic partners often frame their messages in terms of fear. If you don't do this, something bad will happen. This taps into the survival instinct of the brain, making fear one of the strongest tools for manipulation. Now here's the most important thing: dark psychology is dangerous not because it exists, but because most people are unaware of it. Once you recognize these tactics: gaslighting, love bombing, silent treatment, mirroring, you take away their power. Awareness is your best defense. So the next time you find yourself doubting your memory, feeling pressured to agree, or chasing someone's approval, stop and ask yourself, am I being manipulated? Remember, the strongest mind is not the one that knows the most, it's the one that refuses to be controlled. This was just the surface of dark psychology. There are even deeper layers, techniques so powerful they can control entire groups of people. If you want me to uncover those in the next video, make sure to subscribe to Crypt, because this is where hidden knowledge becomes revealed truth. 2. Another chilling aspect of dark psychology is triangulation. This is when a manipulator involves a third person, real or imagined, into your relationship. For example, they might say, "Other people agree you're wrong," or compare you constantly to someone else. The goal is to make you insecure, to compete for their approval, and to weaken your confidence by always feeling like you're not enough. Then there's projection. This is when manipulators accuse you of the very things they are guilty of. A liar calls you dishonest. A cheater accuses you of being unfaithful. By projecting their flaws onto you, they confuse the situation, deflect responsibility, and make you defend yourself instead of questioning their behavior. One of the most subtle but dangerous tactics is intermittent reinforcement. This comes straight from behavioral psychology experiments. The manipulator gives you rewards like affection, attention, or compliments, but only sometimes. You never know when the next reward will come, and this unpredictability makes you addicted to their approval, just like a gambler addicted to slot machines. Dark psychology also thrives in crowd manipulation. Think about how entire groups can be swayed by fear, anger, or excitement. Skilled influencers use repetition, emotional slogans, and symbolic gestures to bypass logic and trigger collective behavior. When a crowd moves together, individual thinking disappears. That's why dangerous leaders throughout history have been able to control millions of people using just words and emotions. Another hidden technique is anchoring. A manipulator will plant an initial idea or number in your mind, and every decision you make afterward will unconsciously compare back to it. For example, a salesman might first show you a $5,000 product, and then a $1,500 product. Suddenly the second one feels cheap even though it's still expensive. Anchoring is everywhere, in marketing, politics, and even relationships. Then comes the illusion of scarcity. Humans naturally chase what they think they can't have. Manipulators use this by pretending something is rare, limited, or about to be gone forever. Only a few left. You'll never find someone like me. Scarcity creates urgency, and urgency shuts down rational thinking. One of the deepest layers of dark psychology is subconscious priming. This is when information is planted in your mind without you realizing it. Maybe it's a repeated phrase, a color, or an image that makes you feel a certain way. Advertisers do it. Politicians do it. Even toxic partners do it by repeating the same words until your brain accepts them as truth. We also cannot ignore fear of isolation. Humans are social creatures, and manipulators know this. By threatening rejection, abandonment, or social exclusion, they exploit our deepest fear, being alone. This is why cults, abusive partners, and even companies use belonging as both a reward and a weapon. And finally, there's identity manipulation. This is the most dangerous of all. Instead of controlling your actions, the manipulator reshapes how you see yourself. They tell you who you are, what you're worth, and what you're capable of. Over time, you begin to adopt their version of reality. And once your identity is controlled, everything else follows automatically. Remember, knowledge is protection. The more you understand these tactics, the harder it becomes for anyone to use them against you. Awareness turns the invisible into the visible, and once you see the game, you cannot be played. Most people believe manipulation happens only in toxic relationships or by con artists. But the deepest layer of dark psychology reveals something far more disturbing. Manipulation is everywhere, built into the systems, environments, and even the technologies we use daily. Let's go deeper into the hidden mechanisms that silently shape our decisions, often without us ever noticing. One of the most advanced techniques is neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. This is the study of how specific words, tones, and patterns of speech can bypass logical thinking and directly influence your subconscious. For example, if someone repeatedly says, "You'll feel better after this," your brain begins to associate their suggestion with comfort, even if there's no proof. NLP practitioners use embedded commands, subtle body language, and pacing techniques to rewire your reactions without you realizing it. Another layer is framing reality. Humans don't just react to facts, they react to how those facts are presented. The same piece of information can be made to feel positive or terrifying, depending on the frame. For example, hearing that a medicine saves 90% of patients feels reassuring. But if you are told 10% of patients die, it feels dangerous even though both statements describe the same reality. Manipulators exploit framing to steer emotions and decisions in their favor. A deeply unsettling tool is the use of cognitive dissonance. This happens when someone forces you into a situation where your actions and beliefs don't match. Instead of admitting you were tricked, your brain rewrites your own memories to justify the choice. Cults use this. High-pressure sales environments use this. Once you've committed time, money, or emotion, the dissonance forces you to keep believing even if the truth is right in front of you. Dark psychology also exploits micro-expressions, tiny facial movements that reveal your emotions before you can hide them. A skilled manipulator can read these subtle signals to know what you're thinking, when you're lying, or when you're vulnerable. Imagine negotiating with someone who knows your reaction before you even speak. That's how powerful micro-expression reading can be in the hands of someone trained to use it. Even more alarming is behavioral conditioning through digital technology. Every swipe, click, and scroll you make online is tracked and analyzed. Algorithms learn what keeps you hooked, and they feed you more of it. Social media platforms exploit dopamine pathways in your brain, rewarding you with likes and notifications in carefully designed patterns. This is not entertainment, it's psychological control at a global scale, and most people don't even realize they are being programmed. Another advanced tactic is the illusion of choice. Manipulators rarely limit you to one option. Instead, they present 2 or 3 choices, each one secretly leading to the outcome they want. For example, a marketer might give you a basic plan that looks too weak, an expensive plan that looks too much, and a middle plan that feels just right. But in reality, all 3 were designed to push you toward the middle choice from the start. You feel empowered, but in truth, you were never free. Then comes identity anchoring. This tactic is about connecting an idea or behavior directly to your sense of self. For example, instead of saying "please recycle," a manipulator frames it as "you are the kind of person who cares about the planet." By tying actions to identity, they ensure compliance not through force, but through self-image. Once your identity is hooked, breaking free feels like betraying yourself. One of the darkest techniques is learned helplessness. This occurs when someone repeatedly puts you in situations where nothing you do makes a difference. Over time, your brain gives up and stops trying, even in situations where you could escape. Abusive relationships, toxic workplaces, and authoritarian systems all use this. It doesn't just control behavior, it breaks the willpower at the very core of a person. Even memory itself can be manipulated. This is called false memory implantation. Through repeated suggestion and careful phrasing, manipulators can make you remember events that never happened. Psychologists have proven that it's possible to convince people they committed crimes they never actually did, simply by planting mental images and asking leading questions. When memory is no longer reliable, control becomes almost absolute. And finally, there's emotional contagion. Emotions are more contagious than viruses. In groups, one person's mood can spread unconsciously to others. Manipulators deliberately project exaggerated emotions: anger, excitement, fear, knowing that the group will catch it and amplify it. This is how protests turn into riots, how online rumors turn into mass panic, and how entire nations can be steered into war. The truth is, dark psychology is not just about personal manipulation, it's about shaping human society itself. From relationships to advertising, from governments to technology, these techniques surround us every day. And the most dangerous part is that the less aware we are, the more vulnerable we become. So here's the challenge: don't just learn these secrets, spot them in real life. The next time you hear a message framed in extremes, or feel pressured by scarcity, or catch yourself chasing someone's approval, step back. Ask yourself, is this my true decision, or has someone already made the decision for me? Because the ultimate power of dark psychology lies not in controlling others, but in keeping people blind to the fact that they are being controlled. Awareness breaks the chains. And once you can see the hidden forces shaping your mind, you step into a freedom that most people will never experience.